This video is an addendum to our last video. You see video 1 and then you see video 2 here. And this is to go over a little bit of your worksheet so you kind of know what's going on, because I don't think the previous video really did this justice. First of all, on the first two, you're going to look at A through F and decide, okay, which of these fit these graphs. Now, I would prefer that you did not use your calculator. Then you remember that if I had the sine graph, and I'm going to attempt to do that up here, the sine graph does this, okay? That's sine. And the cosine does this. So it's just been shifted in relation to the sine graph. So because of that, now think about this. I'm just going to pick one or two of these out and say, okay, which one of these matches? So I'm going to grab, let's say D for a moment. Okay, first of all, it's a cosine. So we know it should start at 1 is where cosine, because the cosine of 0 is 1. Well, the negative means it would start at -1. Hey, look at that. But then this says, since it's in parentheses, remember, we go right pi over 2. So we're going to shift this right pi over 2. So then the graph would look like this, right? Well, that looks like number 2 would be letter D. So I'm going to let you replay that and think about what I just said. So D is actually a graph of number 2. And then take your calculator and check it. Okay, now the next part, determine the amplitude and period of each equation. All right, so I'm just going to pick some randos here. Let's see number 6. All right, we see that the amplitude is the number in front, because remember, this is our formula. Now remember, on the PowerPoint it said omega x b instead of b, but our book uses b, so I want to be consistent with the book when we get into our book. So our amplitude, remember, is the absolute value of that number in front. So our amplitude then on 6 is 4. All the negative means is it starts below instead of above the x-axis for cosine. The period, which is t, so absolute value of A is amplitude. This was all in your notes. And then t is equal to 2 pi over b. Well, b is 2 in this case, so 2 pi over 2 is pi. So that's how we do all of these. I'm going to pick a little harder one, specifically number 11. The amplitude obviously is 4/3. That one was easy. The period, however, is 2 pi over 2/3 because b is 2/3. So I am going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/3, which is 3/2. Those cancel. So the period on number 11 is 3 pi. So 4/3 sine of 2/3 x repeats every 3 pi. Okay? Now on 12 through 21, we're supposed to match A through J with these questions and equations. There's 10 equations, and I was nice, there's 10 graphs. So let's pick A here. Let's do this first graph. Okay, well obviously it starts at 2, so we know it's a cosine and not a sine, because a sine starts at 0, like this one. This one's a sine, okay? We also know that it starts at 2, so it's 2 cosine. So that means it could be 13, it could be 14, and that's it, right? Because it starts at positive 2, so it can't be these, it can't be this one, it can't be 20. So it's either one of these two, 13 or 14. Now we got to figure out what is B. Well, we can do that by finding the period. the period, start to end, is 4 pi before it starts repeating. So our b is equal to 2 pi over 4 pi. Because a, amplitude is 2, here the period would be 2 pi over 2, right? So you multiply by 2 over pi, and look at that, the pi's cancel. 2 times 2 is 4. So here the period is 4 pi, not 4. So I bet you it's going to be this one. Well, pi's cancel, it's 1/2, so that is correct. So let me replay that here. It was probably a little confusing. So b, if t is 2 pi over b, then b is 2 pi over t, because it's a reciprocal function. So over here on this equation, I know that t is 4 pi, the period right here. That's t. How long before it restarts over, okay? So our b then is 2 pi over 4 pi, because remember it's 2 pi over t, which is 1/2. So it's going to be 2 cosine 1/2 x. So that's letter A. So that's how we do the rest of those problems. Yeah, you want to pick one? Okay, let's pick 21. So which one goes with 21? Well, I know, first of all, I know it's a sine. Second of all, I know I'm going to be below, or I'm going to start below. So it's going to go down. So do I, like, could it be C? Well, it could be if it was cosine, but it's sine. So we know the sine of 0 is always 0, no matter what the amplitude is. So we know it's got to be B. Could it be B? Could it be C? Nope, can't be C. Could be D. Can't be E. Could be F. Can't be G. Could be H. And it could be J. However, it says negative, so it's going down. So it can't be B. It can't be F. It could be D. It could be H, but it can't be J. So we're down to 2 equations. It's either D or H, or 2 graphs. So let's see here. Here, the period is 4 pi. Here, the period is 1 pi. So let's go back to our equation. B is 1/2, so T is 2 pi over 1/2, which is 2 pi times 2 over 1. Hey, that's 4 pi. So which one of these periods was 4 pi? D. So 21 is D. You can either use this formula to find the equation, or find the graph, or you can take the graph and find the equation to match it. It's up to you, okay? Now, the last 8 problems are all finding the equation. So I'm going to do one of these here. Okay, so let's just start with 22. Is this a sine or cosine? I'll let you think about it. You can stop it if you want. It's cosine because it starts below the axis. It doesn't start at 0, 0. So we know it's going to be y equals, make this a little thicker so you can see it, y equals something with cosine. Now we got to ask ourselves, okay, what's the amplitude? Well, the amplitude looks like it's 3, but it starts below the x-axis, so it's -3 cosine something. Well, it's going to be bx, whatever b is. Well, the period right here, here to here, is 4 pi. So b is equal to 2 pi over t, which is 2 pi over 4 pi, which is, right, 1/2. There's our equation. So the equation of that graph is y equal -3 cosine 1/2 x. Pretty slick, eh? Okay, so that is our video. That concludes the little add-on to your last video. Hopefully this explains the homework a lot better. I know you're taking a test today. So this is or sometime in the next week. And so this is your lesson to be done on your own, ready to go when we start our graph.